What's up, CrossFit Linchpin? Oh, let me fix my camera a little bit here. There we go. Okay, today is, it's September 1st. So I received a question on the Linchpin private Facebook group, but it's a question a bunch of people have. Basically, the question revolved around mental toughness. One of our members, Walt Barnes is his name, so Walt, this is for you, brother, said that he's got a bunch of these military friends, and these military friends told him that his fitness would go to another level, in his words, or their words, I should say, when he started getting comfortable being uncomfortable. And he would hear this a lot from his military friends. And that goes around a lot in the military because people generally feel that people in the military must be mentally tough and they deal with uncomfortable situations, and therefore they must be uncomfortable. They must be comfortable being uncomfortable, and therefore they must know how to instill that in others. And so Walt asked me if I would do a video for that. And so here we are. And I struggle with it a little bit, to be honest with you, the whole topic of mental toughness, or that phrase, getting comfortable being uncomfortable. I see the value of it, and I see the point of it, and he also obviously asked me to weigh in from previously having been in the military as well. So, I was a SEAL for years, still had a bunch of buddies in that, line of work, and blah, 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 blah. We obviously had to deal with discomfort and be mentally tough to make it through training and achieve those goals or deal with various situations. But what's interesting is I don't particularly like the whole mental toughness topic or how you bestow that upon another individual, because I feel it's a bit cliche these days, and I feel there's no beautifully succinct fact-based way to define it, to exactly define it, or to exactly define who has it more or less than another individual, or how to tell if yours mental toughness has increased 7.8% or not. So therefore, if it's really tough to define and it's really tough to measure, it's really tough to tell if anything that anyone's saying is actually sticking and working. So it's some reasons like that I don't like the whole topic in general. But I understand where the question came from, or where the statement came from, right? Because if we relate it back to fitness, and Walt said that his military friend said, hey, if you become comfortable being uncomfortable, your fitness will go to another level. Where most likely that probably comes from is, if you believe in the CrossFit methodology, which works, then there's that, again, I've said it multiple times, there's that long line that we say at the CrossFit Level 1 seminar. Let's see if I can pull it up from my memory. That intensity is the independent variable most commonly associated with maximizing the rate of return of favorable adaptation. It's a mouthful. It's a triple word score in Scrabble. But what that means in just kind of layman's terms is the good stuff that you want out of a strength and conditioning program, be it increased strength, reduced body composition, body fat, improve your cardiorespiratory endurance, like the good stuff that you want. That's going to come through intensity, and intensity is generally associated with discomfort. And so that's why Walt said his military friend said, if you can get comfortable being uncomfortable, your fitness will improve. So I understand the rationale behind it, but I don't think this is a good, succinct, fact-based way to tell somebody, hey, I'm going to give you these 7 steps and you'll be more mentally tough after that. I don't like that. And also what I think we need to understand is that mental toughness can exist in 1,500 different situations in life. There can be mental toughness in working out. There can be mental toughness in dealing with trauma. Maybe somebody, as soon as a workout starts to get challenging, they're like, oh, well, I don't like the way this stings. I'm going to go ahead and back off because this feels awful. But they're, an EMT or a first responder, and they show up to an accident site, there's blood everywhere, and people are disfigured, and other people are vomiting, and they're just cool as a cucumber handling business. Well, that's a degree of mental toughness as well. There can be mental toughness in the field of what does it take to get through medical school and to be able to black out all the other distractions of your life and just have the mental discipline and fortitude to be so focused on your objective of becoming a physician that you bury your nose into a book when everyone else is just out goofing off. There's mental toughness involved in that as well. You know, being a single parent involves mental toughness. So there's all these things, and how do you develop one? You can't just be, well, I have mental toughness, and therefore my mental toughness in those 1,000 different scenarios, all of them went up. I think that's a bit of a stretch. I think that's a little bit of a hocus pocus that you'll probably read in some, book of the month. But if we get back to the original question, which was in the working out setting, that getting comfortable being uncomfortable would help increase your fitness because intensity in general is unpleasant, and if I can stay, at a higher level of intensity for longer, well, then maybe I'm going to get some better results. Okay, I follow that. Ways to do it. I'm a big fan of the crawl, walk, run approach in most things that you're trying to develop, and working out is going to be one of them as well. And if there's 75 different things, movements, or workouts that we could pick, let's pick something which is simple, measurable, and repeatable. Everybody's friend, the assault bike or the echo bike. Most people who have spent some time pedaling hard and fast on an echo bike or an assault bike would agree that the intensity is very uncomfortable, and it makes you just want to stop, it makes you want to slow down, and makes you want to get off. And so something like that could be a great way to build mental toughness. Maybe you wander out into your garage and you pedal for 1 minute at whatever is a comfortable rate. Let's say it's 55 RPMs. You didn't die, felt it generally fine, it's only a minute at 55 RPMs, you walk out of the gym. That's it. You walk in the next day and you bump it up by 5 RPMs, you pedal at 60. Life went on. You see if it feels any different. You walk in the next day, you do a minute at 65. You do a minute at 70 the next day. You do a minute at 75. At some point, whether you're not fit at all or incredibly fit, you're going to reach some RPM in that minute that is going to, for you personally, test your limits of mental toughness, test your limits of enduring discomfort, and test your limits of not wanting to get on the bike the next day or just wanting to slow down. And maybe you get to whatever that thing is, and let's say that you got to 80 RPMs for 1 minute, the next day you tried 85, and either it hurt too bad or you just didn't want to do it and you backed off, you failed, okay? But you achieved the day before at 80 RPMs. Well, great, give yourself a day off, and maybe you don't go back to 80, but go back to 75. It's right below that threshold that almost made you fail, and you spend a few days there at 75, just getting used to what that actually feels like, and again, realizing that you didn't die. And then you go back up and punch it up to 80, see how that felt for 1 day. If that's good, maybe stay there for a bit, maybe go back down to 75, and then you can slowly start to punch that limit up just a little bit and a little bit and a little bit. And you're pushing your limits, you're doing it in a way that's measurable, observable, and repeatable, and you're doing it in an area where the stakes for failing are very, very low. So if you fail, quite frankly, who cares, right? You go in, you shake it off, you go back the next day, and you adjust as needed. And you could play that same game with max burpees in 2 minutes. You could play that same game with a 400-meter repeat. You could play that same game with an entire workout like Helen. You could do Helen at what is, you feel like 50%, and then each week, you try to knock 10 seconds off that Helen time. You could, and you just slowly start to feel what that feels like. And that could be the slowly getting comfortable being uncomfortable. But here's also what I will say. The mere fact that, okay, it's different for everybody, but the mere fact that you're working out, even if you're working out at moderate intensity, okay, you're huffing and puffing, and you're doing functional movements that are appropriate in loading and rep scheme and whatever it happens to be for you, you're winning. You're doing fantastic, and hey, maybe could you do a little bit better if you endured a bit more? Maybe. Okay, we can't say that's not the case. Maybe. But also for you, maybe that's just where you need to be, because maybe if you put in some sort of a hero effort, it would exhaust you or whatever so much that you'd miss the next 2 days of working out. So all things with a grain of salt. That's also why we say, I gave that big long line as to why intensity is so good. Intensity is the shortcut to the good stuff. But then the other critical thing, classic CrossFit methodology 101, is that intensity is relative to the individual's physical and psychological tolerances. And both your physical and psychological tolerances, in general, will increase and adapt through repeated exposure. But you didn't double your deadlift in 2 weeks, and you're not going to double or significantly increase your mental toughness or ability to endure discomfort in 2 weeks. It's going to take time. So, okay, so that's that. And that's nothing right there is probably revolutionary. So now I'm going to take a bit of a divergence, a bit of a turn. I hope this isn't too crazy and too, I don't know, for everybody. Here would be my personal recommendations. Oh, and I get sidetracked for 1 second. I always get sidetracked on these things. Why I don't think some things like the military example is a good idea, or, well, hey, what did it take to get through BUD/S, and then can you apply that to everything else that you do in life? Not really. That's the bad part. Not really. Everybody's in a different season of their life, and in those different seasons of your life, different things are really important to you, and other things fall off as what's important. So when I was at that season of my life that I wanted to be a SEAL, it was not a healthy part of my life. It was an all-encompassing, maniacal, single focus where nothing else in the world mattered, period, end of story, as much as that goal, obtaining that goal, doing whatever I needed to do to succeed, and anything which got in my way, the heck with it. I would bowl it over to get there. Family and friends included, which is a terrible thing to say, but I also don't know if that's what's actually required to obtain that goal. I mean, I remember having relationships with people back then, my family, or, like a girlfriend, and saying, hey, look, if something comes down, my schedule gets tight, and it comes down to I need to spend time with my friends, or I need to spend time with my girlfriend, or I need to train for BUD/S, which is SEAL School, or I need to train for BUD/S, all of you are not as important as that goal. So I'm going to go train, and if that damages our relationship, it damages our relationship, I'm sorry. Well, I look back on that now at 44 years old, and it's like, ugh, it's not exactly admirable behavior or an admirable mindset, but that's the mindset that I had back then. Like, I wanted it that badly. And so if you think about wanting something that badly, well, maybe it makes sense that I made it through training. And now, that's why I can't just take that and apply that to my Cindy score, because here's the deal. I don't care about my Cindy score that much. Not even close. I'm at a wildly different phase of my life where I have different priorities. I'm willing to sacrifice for some things and not sacrifice for others. And when I walk into the gym personally, I do it to stay fit, to stay healthy. It's my mental sanity check as well. I want to play with my kids for the next 20 years. I'm not willing to die to shave 10 seconds off of my Helen time. I'm not willing to just black out to put 20 pounds on my deadlift. I used to be there when I first got into CrossFit when I was around 30. It's not that important to me anymore. Different things are more important. So, for example, yesterday we did Cameron, hero workout. And I was somewhere in the middle of Cameron, I think in the 50 knees to elbows, so past the halfway mark, starting to get there, kind of seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm just grinding it out, sweating, and then my little 7-year-old walks into the garage gym. It's my stepson. He's got the cutest little voice in the world. I'm probably biased, but I tell you that he's my stepson because it makes sense that when he calls me Pat. So he walks into the garage, he's like, Pat, can you help me out for a second? I just stopped where I was in the middle of my workout and said, sure, buddy, what do you need? And then we walked outside. I was huffing and puffing and sweating, and I was on knees to elbow number 21 or something like that. Let the clock keep running, didn't pause the clock. My little man needed me. Walked out there. He needed help for like 5 minutes with something in the front yard. We did whatever he needed to do. Asked him if he was good to go. He said, yep, good to go. I said, okay, or you let me know if you need anything else. And I just wandered back into the garage after a 5-minute break, not quite sure where the clock was, not quite sure. Went back in and finished Cameron. And I don't care that my Cameron time was disrupted, and I don't care about any of those things. It probably would have bothered me 10 years ago. Luckily, I didn't have kids back then, but I was in a different phase of my life. So I think also a lot of what you're willing to push for and willing to suffer for and willing to make sacrifices for, it just depends on what season of your life if you're in. And if you're some crazy person like a games athlete, then you're most likely in a season of your life, kind of similar to I was way back in the day when I wanted to be a SEAL, that you are willing to sacrifice a whole lot of other things in your life and make them second or third priority for what your number one priority is. And that's neither right or wrong, it's just a decision. And so I would say, if you're not a games athlete and you have other things going on in your life, not to take your working out quite that serious. That's my short little answer. Get in there, push yourself hard for whatever you're feeling like that day, and realize that you're good to go. Okay. I don't know if that was like tangent 2 or tangent 3. So now that being said, let's say, okay, Pat, gotcha. But even though you said that you can't bestow mental toughness upon somebody, and there's 1,000 different other ways to do it, you can't give a 7-step program, do you have any recommendations? Okay, so now I'll get into those recommendations. I try to put some genuine time and thought into this because it is such a nebulous, loose topic. But anyway, here we go. I don't think you are going to have success in that whole mental toughness or in that whole getting comfortable, being uncomfortable thing. I think what you're focusing on is the gym. Well, it's going to happen when I go into the gym. I need to get better at the gym, and how do I push through that pain? I think it has to start far beyond that, and it starts outside the walls of the gym. If you want to be able to have more, I think you have to have more discipline, and you have to be able to make tougher decisions. And so I think I don't think that's going to get developed in the gym. The gym may aid it. I think that falls into the realm of personal development, which usually takes place outside the walls of the gym. And that is, the friends that you surround yourself with. I know that might sound corny or cheesy, but it's not. The friends that you surround yourself with, the books that you choose to put in your brain, the media that you choose to consume on TV, whatever you choose to have in your Instagram feed, if it's this or if it's Kim Kardashian or something else, I think all of that affects it as well. I will say that I have a little personal morning ritual routine that I try to do most mornings, and I've got a mission statement. Call it whatever you want, call that corny, call that whatever, but I've got a mission statement of goals that I want to achieve, both large big picture goals, the type of person that I want to be while I have my precious little time on this planet. It's all kind of encapsulated in this mission statement, and I read it out loud every day. And it just reminds me of who I want to be, what I want to do in this life, how I want to help others, the person that I don't want to be, and it keeps it fresh, and it keeps it in my head. And I do believe that, again, as cliche as it is, but that if you control your thoughts and you repeat those thoughts will find a way to hopefully manifest themselves into physical action, and that's when good things happen. So I do believe in the power of a ritual or routine like that, which in and of itself takes discipline to do every day. And if you're starting to go down the path of being a disciplined person that hopefully is a bit more self-aware, because that's another thing that personal development and reflection does, is it makes you aware of what you're good at and what you're not good at. And then that allows you to start to focus on those areas, just like your deficiencies in CrossFit. Focus on those areas that you don't feel like you're maximizing or being the sort of person that you want. And when you start to bring those areas up, you will become a slightly different person. When you become a slightly different person, you interact with other people differently. You make different decisions. You carry yourself differently. And that will most likely transcend most areas of your life. And one of them is when you walk into the gym. So anyway, got the mission statement. as part of my morning routine. And in that mission statement, there's not just loose language, like I have definite benchmarks or definite goals that I want to hit, and I give those goals timelines and things like that. And so that way I can measure and track progress. I do have some positive affirmations in there as well, probably 4 or 5. Ones that I just really like. I like the message behind them, and I say those aloud every day. Every day I try to do 10 pages of reading, some sort of non-fiction book that I feel is worth my time and will give me better perspective or better insight or hopefully increase my intelligence or awareness or something that with, again, the effort of trying to make myself a better person. And then, here we go. This may shock some people. Tim Chan, I know you're on this Instagram post. You've known me a while. This may shock you. I don't know. I don't open up about this too frequently. But also every day, I'm a big fan of meditation. I really am. So every day I do a guided meditation for probably, on average, it's probably anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes. And that is largely, it's incredibly beneficial to get your mind right, to start to sort out your thoughts and control your own head and control your own thoughts. Most people, it's shocking when you start to pay attention to your own thoughts and your own mind through something like meditation, how much most of our own minds and thoughts are just chaos. Chaos. And if you don't think that they are, you'll be shocked to find out, if you're new to meditation, if you sit down for 10 minutes and you just try to do something like focus on your breathing for 10 minutes and not have any distracting thoughts or whatnot enter your head, you won't be able to go 1 minute before 28 thoughts get into your head. You're totally lost in thought. Then you forget that you're even trying to concentrate and meditate. You're like, oh geez, and you kick those out. You're like, I'm back now. I'm good. I'm in control. And you won't even make it another minute before you'll be totally lost in space or whatnot. The act just, it's very, very challenging for most of us to even just control our thoughts in our head and keep our mind on track. At the most basic level, if your mind controls everything that you do, and most people don't have a decent grasp on controlling their own mind, why are we even talking about mental toughness, right? We need to rewind 17 steps to step 1, and step 1 is getting control of your own head. You've got to get control of your own head if you want to get control of your life. And then once you get control of your head and get control of your life, then you can probably start to, get control of your hell in time or something like that. So I think there's a cart before the horse kind of a thing with I don't think mental toughness is step 1. I think mental toughness is it is something which comes about through the practice of several other disciplines. It's not the cause. It's one of the many effects, and a cause of the primary mover might be that personal development. The primary mover might be the mission statement. The primary mover might be the meditation or the books that you read, or just choosing to be a better person, and then down the road these other things happen. So anyway, as all these are, this was far longer than I intended it to be. So I think I'm going to stop there, and hopefully that got some. And if anyone's actually wants to get into meditation, if they're always just fascinated by it, and I have no affiliation with this individual, I don't get kickback or what, there's nothing. Sam Harris. I'm a very big advocate of Sam Harris. I don't agree with everything that he thinks and says and does, but I very much enjoy his material. I think he's incredibly sharp. I enjoy listening to him, and I really like his take on meditation and how to do it and whatnot, and mindfulness, if you will. Let me scroll back, because as always, I just didn't pay attention, and I probably missed a question or something. Okay, no, just some thumbs up, and right back at everybody. And Walt, I don't know if this answered your question at all, but I hope that it hurts. Oh, somebody did like the assault bike. Garage Bach next. I have to think that scaling appropriately can have an indirect impact on increasing mental toughness by allowing the intensity to rise and be maintained. More bonus CrossFit Linchpin is the place. I would agree with that as well. If we are talking about back to physical fitness, and we've reined it back in from meditation and books and mission statements and things of that nature. Yeah, I mean, if you want to express intensity in a workout, 9 times out of 10, scaling is your friend for upping the intensity. Okay. All right. I think. Oh, nice shirt. Hey, every now and then I get out of a t-shirt. It's the weekend. Okay, I think we're good. So that's it. And I'm starting to post these more and more on the CrossFit Linchpin YouTube channel, which is just CF Linchpin. And little by little, we'll build some content there so that these don't just disappear after 24 hours on Instagram. And that's it. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and I will talk to everybody later.